The headless ones, I always loved camping alone. Something about the solitude, the whispering trees, the crackling fire, it all made me feel at peace. But there are places in the world where solitude isolation, where the darkness doesn't just feel empty, but inhabited. I learned that the hard way. I had ventured deep into Black Hollow Forest, a place known for its untouched wilderness. No trails, no campsites, just pure, endless woods. I wanted the challenge. I wanted to be completely alone. I should have never gone there. The first day was peaceful enough. I set up my tent near a small clearing, miles away from civilization. The air was crisp, and the scent of pine mixed with the distant, damp aroma of the earth. As the sun dipped behind the trees, I felt that familiar thrill of adventure. Then, the first sign. A sound. It came just as I was drifting off in my tent, distant footsteps crunching on leaves. At first, I convinced myself it was just an animal, but the steps were too steady, too deliberate. They circled my campsite once, then stopped. I held my breath, straining my ears for anything at all. Silence. Morning came, and I found nothing. No tracks, no broken branches, just the untouched forest surrounding me like a predator waiting for its moment. I should have left then, but I stayed. The second night, the footsteps returned. Closer this time. A heavy, dragging sound accompanied them, as if something was being pulled across the ground. I clutched my knife, my pulse hammering in my throat. Then, a whisper. Go. I bolted upright, my breath caught in my chest. It wasn't a normal whisper. It was hollow, stretched, like wind howling through a tunnel. I shone my flashlight into the trees, my hands shaking. Nothing, just swaying branches. Dawn felt like salvation, but something was different. The trees looked wrong. The trunks, which had seemed natural the day before, now bore strange carvings, deep gashes in the bark that resembled twisted, grinning faces. My gear, which I had packed neatly the night before, was in disarray. My backpack lay open, my food scattered. Something had been here. I made a decision then. I was leaving. I had hiked far, but I still had a compass, still had a way back. I packed up and began the journey home. But Black Hollow wasn't done with me. By afternoon, the forest changed. The air grew thick, suffocating, and a heavy fog rolled in, swallowing the trees in a murky haze. My compass needle spun wildly, useless. I picked up my pace, my instincts screaming at me. Then the whispers returned. You opened the door. I froze. The voice wasn't behind me. It wasn't around me. It was inside me, slithering through my thoughts like a parasite. My legs moved before I could think, sprinting blindly through the trees. Twigs snapped under my boots, branches tore at my arms. But no matter how far I ran, the whisper followed. Dusk fell, and I realized the awful truth. I had been walking in circles. My campsite was in front of me again. But it wasn't the same. The tent was shredded, the fire pit overturned. My flashlight flickered and died. Then I saw them. The trees weren't trees anymore. They were bodies. Dozens, maybe hundreds, hanging from the branches like grotesque fruit. No heads. Their necks were jagged, torn stumps dripping black ichor onto the forest floor. Some wore tattered clothing, remnants of campers, hikers, people like me. My stomach lurched. My head screamed at me to move, but my legs refused. Then they began to twitch. Their arms jerked first, stiff and unnatural, like puppets on tangled strings. Then their fingers twitched, cracking with sickening pops. Their feet scraped against the air, writhing as if they were struggling against invisible nooses. And then, in perfect unison, they turned toward me. I didn't breathe. I couldn't. My body was ice, my mind refusing to accept what I was seeing. Then they moved, not walked, floated, gliding through the air, their limp bodies dragged by some unseen force. They were closing in, faster than I could process. I ran. The forest twisted around me, warping and shifting. Every tree looked the same, every path unfamiliar. The whispers turned to screams, voices shrieking my name, weeping, laughing, begging. And then just ahead, I saw a light, a cabin. I didn't think. I just sprinted toward it, my body fueled by blind terror. The door was unlocked, the inside dimly lit by old lanterns. I slammed the door shut behind me, locking it with trembling hands. Silence. The cabin was old, abandoned. Dust coated every surface, and the fireplace lay cold and dead. But it felt safe, safer than the forest. I slumped against the wall, trying to catch my breath. Then I heard it, a faint, rhythmic tapping. It came from the window. My stomach turned as I slowly lifted my head. There was a face. My face. It grinned at me through the glass, its neck a torn, ragged stump. Its lips curled, splitting impossibly wide, revealing teeth that weren't teeth at all, but jagged shards of bone. Then it whispered, "You belong to us now." The glass shattered, the lanterns died, and the last thing I saw before the darkness took me were hands, countless, clawed hands, reaching out to pull me into the abyss. I woke up at the edge of the forest. The sun was rising, birds chirping as if the night had never happened. My body ached, my clothes were torn and blood-stained. But I was alive. I stumbled to my car, drove until I reached civilization. I never spoke of what happened, until now, because I saw the carvings again today, on a tree outside my house. And tonight, I heard a whisper in my room. You opened the door. Darkness clung to the forest like a living thing, suffocating, shifting, watching. I ran. Branches tore at my skin, roots clawed at my ankles, but I didn't stop. The whispers of the headless ones slithered through the trees, growing louder. They were close, too close. Their unseen presence turned the air thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something rotten beneath it. My breath came in ragged gasps, my lungs burning. I had no idea where I was running, only that stopping meant death, or worse. Then I saw it, a glimmer of silver through the trees, a river, my last chance. I burst from the undergrowth, my feet hitting the cold, wet stones at the riverbank. The moon's light shimmered on the rushing water, and for a brief, fragile second, I thought maybe, just maybe, I had outrun them. Then the forest behind me went silent. No wind, no rustling leaves, nothing. Slowly, trembling, I turned. They were there, dozens of them, emerging from the trees, their forms flickering like dying candle flames. Their bodies were twisted, stretched, some impossibly tall, others crouched and jerking like broken marionettes. But all of them were headless, their necks raw and dark, gaping voids where faces should have been. They didn't walk, they drifted. My body locked up, my limbs betraying me. Run. I needed to run. But the whispers grew louder, swirling in my head, a chorus of voices I couldn't block out. I swayed on my feet, knees buckling, as their words became clear. Join us. A wet, gurgling noise broke the silence. One of them stepped forward. It was closer than the others, its form more solid, more real. It raised an arm, long fingers twitching. A single bony hand extended toward me, beckoning. You opened the door, it whispered. Now close it. I didn't understand. Close what door? My vision blurred, my head pounded, the whispers rising to a fevered shriek. The world spun, tilting beneath me. The water, the trees, the shadows, it all blurred together into one endless void. And then I saw something move in the river's reflection. Not me, something behind me. I spun around just in time to see a figure rising from the water. Not one of them. Something worse. It had a face, my face, but its eyes were hollow, black pits, and its mouth stretched too wide, splitting its skin as it grinned. Its wet, skeletal hands reached for me, and I staggered back, my scream lodging in my throat. The headless ones did not move. They only watched. I tripped, falling hard onto the stones, my hands scraping against the jagged edges. The thing that wore my face tilted its head, studying me like I was some fascinating new prey. Close the door, it said, but its voice wasn't mine. It was every voice, a chorus of agony, of lost souls. And then I understood. The headless ones weren't hunting me. They were waiting for me to make a choice. The thing in the river lunged, and I acted on pure instinct. My hand shot out, grasping at something sharp in the water, a jagged piece of rock. My fingers closed around it, and I drove it forward into the thing's chest. A sound like shattering glass exploded around me. The figure convulsed, its grin twisting into something inhuman, unnatural. The river surged, the air cracked, and a cold wind roared the trees. The headless one screamed, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, I was alone. The river was still, the forest empty, the air no longer suffocating, no longer charged with unseen horrors. I stumbled back to my feet, my hands trembling, my mind reeling. I had survived. Somehow, but as I turned, something caught my eye. A reflection in the water. I saw myself, my real self, and then, behind me, a single figure, headless, watching, waiting. I didn't run, I didn't scream. I only whispered one thing to the still night air. I closed the door. The thing nodded and disappeared into the dark. I left the forest that night. I stumbled my way through the trees, the path unfamiliar, the air feeling different, lighter almost. The shadows no longer moved when I wasn't looking. The whispers had stopped, but something was wrong. When I finally reached my car, parked miles away at the edge of the wilderness, I felt detached. The world around me looked the same, but it felt distant, like I was watching from behind a veil. The drive back to civilization was quiet, too quiet. My phone had died long ago, and the radio only played static. I tried not to look in the rearview mirror. I made it home just before sunrise, exhausted, mind hazy. I wanted to believe it was over, that I had escaped. But as I stepped into my house, I noticed something out of place. A wet footprint on the wooden floor. Not mine. A chill ran down my spine. I turned slowly, heart hammering, scanning the dimly lit room. And then I saw it. In the hallway mirror. My reflection. Only. It wasn't moving. It just stood there, watching, smiling. Then it whispered, the door was never closed. The light flickered and the glass shattered. I hope you liked the story, and if you have any constructive criticism, please comment it, as I am new to all this. And also, if you have any story ideas, also leave a comment, and I'll look into it and see what I can do. And as always, if you like the story, don't forget to like and subscribe, so you don't miss my next upload. I try and get at least 3 out a week. Cheers.